Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Today we will learn chapter 4 which is graph. The first subtopic is 4.1 Introduction to Graph. At the end of the class you should be able to define a graph, recognize different type of graph and understand the structure of a graph. You should also be able to show how graphs are used as a model in variety of areas. Firstly, what is graph? A graph is collection of a set V of vertices and a set E of edges. G equal to VE is a formal mathematical notation that we use to define a graph. V is a non-empty set of vertices or nodes which represent by point, and E is a set of edges that represent by line segment or curve. There are two types of edges which are directed edges and undirected edges. Directed edges lead to the directed graph and undirected edges lead to the undirected graph. First, let's see the directed graph. A graph directed or digraph VE consists of V, a non-empty set of vertices or nodes, and E, a set of directed edges. We draw a directed edge with an arrowhead pointing toward the destination. Each directed edges associate with an ordered pair of vertices UB, which are said to start at U and end at V. Let's see the illustration. We have the two vertices here, point U and point V. It's said to start at U and end at V. So we need to draw the edge from U with an arrowhead pointing toward the destination, which is V. So we have the set of vertices here is UV. We want to show the set of vertices is VU. We need to draw from the point V to the point U. In this directed graph, UV is not equal to the VU. Alright, let's see the undirected graph. A graph also consists of a non-empty set vertices of V and a set of edges E. Its edge as either one or two vertices associate with it, call it endpoint, and edge is said to connect it endpoint. The start point and the end point are not fixed in undirected graph. Let's see here. We have point A and point B. It's connecting with the line segment A and B. So we write the set of vertices as the curly bracket A, B. Let's see. The way we draw a graph is arbitrary as long as the correct connection between vertices are depicted and avoid crossing edge. Let's see the example of graph. This is an example of undirected graph. Let's say we have 3 points here, point A, point B, and point C. So we can write the set of our vertices as V equal to A, B, and C in the curly bracket. We're connecting the 3 points with the edges. Let's say we name it as the E1, E2, and E3. We see that E1 is called loop, which means that each edge connect with the same vertices. Mean that the point A connecting with the point A also, point A. So the same vertices is called loop. So this is this so how we write our set of edges. E equal to AA, AB, and BC. Let's see the type of graph. We have 6 different type of graph for directed and undirected graph. What is simple graph? A simple graph contains no loop or parallel edge. No loop means that each edge connect two different vertices, and no parallel means that no two edges connect the same pair of vertices. Let's see the example of simple graph and not simple graph. Figure 4.1.2 is show the simple graph since there are no loop and no parallel. The figure 4.1.3 show that it has loop at the edge E1. At the point A is edge E1, so it's not a simple graph. At the figure 4.1.4, also not a simple graph since it has same pair of vertices which are point A and point B, which is connecting with the edge E2 and E3. Next is the multigraph. Multigraph may have multiple edges connecting the same vertices. You can see in the figure 4.1.5, the vertices A and B is connecting with the edges E2 and E3. So it's connecting with the same vertices. So this means that this multiple edges. Next is the pseudograph. Pseudograph may include loop and possibly multiple edges connecting the same vertices. We can see in the figure 4.1.6, we have loop at the point A, and at the point A and B, we have the multiple edges which are E2 and E3. Let's proceed to the directed graph. We have simple directed graph, also directed multigraph. Simple directed graph is the same with the simple graph, which we cannot have no loop and no multiple directed edges. Directed multigraph, a directed graph with multiple directed edges. And the mixed graph is combination of the directed and the undirected. So a graph with the both directed and undirected graph. So this is the quick summary for the type of graph and its structure. We have 6 types here. For the simple graph, you know that the simple graph have undirected, multiple edges. No, we cannot have multiple edges, and we cannot have loop since it's simple graph. For the multigraph, also undirected, and we can have multiple edges since it's multigraph, and no loop either. But then for the pseudograph, we can have loop, we can have multiple edges, and also undirected graph. For the simple directed graph, of course, is directed edges, no multiple edges, and no loop also. For the directed multigraph, we have directed edges, multigraph, since it's directed multigraph, so yes, for multigraph edges are allowed. And since it's directed, then we can have loop. For the mixed graph, directed and undirected, and multiple edges allowed, yes, for multiple edges allowed and loop. Let's see the example number 1. For each of the following graph, determine the type of graph, find the number of vertices and edge. If the graph is not simple undirected graph, find a set of edge to remove to make it simple graph. Then draw the simple graph. Let's see A. We have undirected graph, we have loop, and we have multiple edges. So what the type of graph? So let's see our quick summary. We need to have loop, multiple edges, and undirected. So we have the type is pseudograph. So the type of pseudograph, number of vertices is 3 since it's point A, point B, and point C. The number of edges 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So number of edges is 7. A set to remove to make a simple graph is we need to remove multiple edges, and we need to remove loop to make it simple graph. So the set is AA, AB, AC, and DC. So we draw it again, the simple graph. So let's see B. You see we have loop there, no multiple edges. So I give you 10 seconds to determine the type of graph. Time's up. So let's see the answer. The type of graph is also pseudograph, since the description in the pseudograph says that the possibly to have multiple edges. So we can have multiple edges or not. So here we have loop at the point A, point B, and point C. So the number of vertices is 3, and the number of edges is 6. A set to remove to make it simple graph, we need to remove all the loop. So AA, BB, and CC. So we draw the simple graph. And for the C, we see that there are no loop, no multiple edges. So the type of graph is simple graph. Number of vertices is 6 and number of edges is also 6. So there are no set of edges to remove to make it simple graph, since it's already the simple graph. Let's see the D. D is the directed graph. We see that it have loop. So the simple directed cannot have loop. So we have the choice to have the multi-graph, directed multi-graph. So the type of graph is directed multi-graphs. Number of vertices 4, edges 7. A set to remove to make a simple graph. Just remove the loop. So we get the simple graph. So how to model a graph? There are 3 questions about the structure of graph. The 3 keywords. 3 questions about the structure of graph. The first one is the edges of the graph, whether it is undirected or directed or both. The second one is the multiple edges. Either the multiple edges are present. And the third one is the loop. A loop are present. So there are 3 questions. To find first is the edge, second is the multiple edge, and third one is the loop. So let's see the example of the graph model. First is the computer network. A network is made up of data center, represent location by point, and the communication link between computer represent the link by line segment. The number 2 is the niche overlap graph in ecology. This is involve interaction of different species of animal to model the competition between species in an ecosystem. The vertices is represent species and the line is represent a competition between the species. Number 3 is the influence graph to model the group behavior for a certain people that can influence the thinking of others. Represent people by vertices and represent and influence by line. This is directed graph. Number 4 is the round robin tournament. Each team play each other team exactly once, so this is directed graph. Represent team by vertices and represent a directed play by line. So this is exercise. Exercise 4.1.2 have 6 questions. I hope you can do all the questions in this exercise to test your limit of understanding before we move to the next subtopic. Since this is only the basic of this graph, this chapter. Okay. That's all for today. Thank you. Have a nice day.